In this series, we have explained how the foundation theory can explain all of the aspects of reality. In this video, I'm going to go over an additional aspect of reality that it can explain, which is how we can get our sense of value. Let's begin. To first understand value, we must first understand the two types of value. First, value can reflect a preference. For example, if you like a certain food, then that food will have a positive value. However, another type of value is something that reflects a nature independent of preference. So for example, being kind, honest, and generous are valuable things. Something like kindness has value by its nature, not by preference. Now, one could say that value is purely subjective. In this view, a person is not valuable by nature. Rather, a person is only valuable if someone happens to prefer that person's existence. However, this seems kind of counterintuitive. As we went over in a previous video, we can see the moral landscape through our moral windows. And in the same way, we can see value through this same window. So for example, we can see value within our own minds. When we experience things like peace or happiness within ourselves, we sense their value. This sense is our experience of direct awareness with valuable states. Furthermore, we can sense some value by focusing within ourselves. When you focus on yourself, you can have some sense of value that you have as a person. You won't need to first decide to prefer yourself, rather it goes the other way around, which is that value sense is a basis for preferring your continued existence. Your sense of value is a window into value. When you experience happiness, your sense of happiness is a window into positive aspects of happiness. Although your happiness is subjective, its positivity is objective. The positive aspects of your positive experiences have actual value, and you can see this value within yourself by direct awareness. Now, if we say that our sense of value never detects any real value, then we fall into a pit of skepticism about all of our senses. In other words, if we deny objective value, then we will break the uniformity of our senses. Now, one may argue that we cannot trust our sense of value because evolution produces the sense of value for our survival. The problem, however, is that biological history produces all of our senses. Therefore, all senses are in the same boat. So, if our sense of value is wrong, then all of our other senses are also wrong. Another objection is that the existence of actual value is not necessary to explain your sense of value, while the existence of an external material world is necessary to explain your visual sense. The problem with this proposal, however, is that its assumption is mistaken. It assumes moral sight requires an inference to the best explanation. However, this is not true. We can see value without having to explain anything. So, we have no good reason to break the uniformity of our sense of value. Finally, denying the reality of all value seems to be self-undermining. If I deny the reality of value, then to be consistent, I must deny that my own denial has value. Once I see that my denial of all value has no value, then what could motivate me to continue to deny all value? Denying the existence of value is like denying the existence of meaning. The statement that no statements have meaning is itself meaningless if it is true. It seems that denying value is self-defeating in the same way. The belief that nothing has value has no value if it's true. You wouldn't endorse that no statements have meaning unless some part of you thought that your endorsement had meaning. Similarly, you wouldn't endorse that nothing has value unless some part of your thought your endorsement had some value. So, value exists and is a real thing. Now, to start off about what explains value, let's first suppose that the foundation for reality has no value. If this is the case, then the foundation has no positive aspects of any kind. But if the foundation has no value, then we have a construction problem. How can value arise from completely valueless materials? First, the very power to produce people is itself valuable. Our very power to serve people is a valuable feature of ourselves, and it allows us to add value to the world. The ultimate foundation has the ultimate ability to add value to the world, since it obviously had the ability to add us to the world, and therefore the ultimate foundation must have some value. Secondly, the foundation has value in virtue of its valuable attributes. The foundation's nature includes the rules of reason. The rules of reason are themselves valuable since they protect us from harm. Another thing is that the foundation's nature includes the moral standard, and a moral standard has value, and therefore the foundation's nature has value. If you understand where I'm going with this, we can see how the foundation theory can explain the mind, matter, morals, reason, and finally value. Now we must ask as to what makes people valuable in the first place. Well, I propose that consciousness is the root of all value. Consciousness is what gives us the understanding of what is going on in the first place. Consciousness is all we have, and it is all we are as experience. It's what makes the people you love worth loving. It is the substance of every joy and every sorrow. Consciousness is also the true boundary between life and death. Consciousness is the most important thing in the universe. In fact, it is the only important thing in the universe. It is the only thing we could be most certain of. Everyone and everything that we could ever care about, it's given its value by the fact of consciousness. Nothing should matter more than consciousness. Non-conscious things that we consider valuable wouldn't be valuable unless they could be experienced by a conscious mind. I mean, what's the use of a valuable item if no one is able to know about it or experience it? If you cannot derive value from non-value, otherwise you have a construction error, and if the most valuable thing we know of is consciousness, then the most reasonable conclusion is that the foundation for value is consciousness, and thus the foundation for reality is also consciousness. And so this is an additional reason to think that the foundation has a mental nature. With all this in mind, we can now see where this will be heading. In the last video of the Foundation Theory series, we will be putting together all of the features of the foundation, and we will see what the final conclusion can bring us. What lies at the end is the greatest treasure of all time, as we understand what the ultimate nature for the foundation of reality is. So, in our next video, we will summarize everything, and the conclusion will become very obvious.